Hello and welcome back to By the Board Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing Ticket to Ride Amsterdam. It is created by the omnipresent Alan Moon and is published by Days of Wonder. It's for 2 to 4 players and it lasts, according to the box, about 10 to 15 minutes. That's probably about right. Now I'm going to take for granted that you've already played Ticket to Ride and you just want to know about what Ticket to Ride Amsterdam adds, if anything, or how it changes. So in terms of the gameplay, the main thing that it changes is that it adds some merchant cards. You'll notice also when you play that it doesn't follow the Ticket to Ride Europe rules, so there are no stations and there's no longest route. The merchant routes are set on the outside of the board and you'll see them indicated by this little card here. So rather than the normal symbols or the grey, it'll have the merchant card routes. That simply means that you're going to pick up a merchant cart ticket each time you complete a merchant cart route. Now it's not immediately clear how the merchant cards work, but essentially the person who collects the most cards gets the first value, the person who collects the second most cards gets the second value, etc. If you do not pick up any merchant cards, then you don't get anything. The artwork is standard Ticket to Ride art. This is a version that's based in the 17th century Amsterdam. I don't know what that looks like for diversity. Of course, the box isn't all that diverse, but I don't know if that's attempting to accurately reflect 17th century Amsterdam. But hey, so we've got a bunch of Dutch people on the front, not very diverse, but I don't know if they were trying to be authentic, and I couldn't possibly say about the authenticity of people in the 17th century. But otherwise it's the normal artwork for Ticket to Ride. I'm not a massive fan personally. I'm a lot more of a cartoony type person, but it's quite nice and it's not the worst thing to have on your shelf. The artwork on the cards are quite nice. It's a little bit different. So here you've got some boats. So they're quite nice to look at. The locomotive is a nice kind of horse and cart card, which is nice. It's a bit different. The box is well laid out. It comes with pretty good box management. That's quite standard for Days of Wonder in my experience. Small World has some very good box management. And the bigger box Ticket to Rides are not bad at all. So in terms of box management and keeping everything together, that's pretty straightforward. Instead of train carriages, we now have carts. These are actually really nice little models. They're fairly detailed. They could be quite interesting to paint, but I'm not sure if they're quite deep enough to be able to paint the fine details. The only problem you may have is this front bit. It could snap off, but it doesn't seem very flimsy, so it seems okay. You also get, as per usual, a few spares. The card quality is kind of standard Ticket to Ride, I think. These ones again have that gridding effect, which I really need to find out what the name of that is, but they seem quite good. In terms of accessibility, for those who are deaf and hard of hearing, if you've never played Ticket to Ride before, it may be a bit rules heavy at the beginning. It doesn't actually require any verbal communication. This is a set collecting game. You can just take cards and place cards in carriages and move your tile around as you like. It's not a requirement to talk to each other, but sometimes it can feel a bit front loaded and there might need to be a fair amount of communication. The rules are actually quite straightforward and they explain it very well, so if you'd rather read the rules, it should be fairly straightforward and you should be able to catch on fairly quickly. In terms of colourblind accessibility, it looks like they've gone for the toll muted colour scheme, which is this off yellow, off red, white and black, or something along those lines. I'm no expert in colour blindness, but as I understand, these should be on a spectrum where you can see the difference. For the cards, they have symbols to indicate which ones you need to be putting down. It's just for the cards is whether you can tell the difference between the colours. That's something to look out for. Overall, this is essentially Ticket to Ride, but miniature. For me, this just feels kind of like a demo copy of the game. It's great if you find that Ticket to Ride Europe or Ticket to Ride the US or any of the other big box versions just take too long. Perhaps you don't have a family with a short attention span. They do enjoy the game but can't last the full hour or so. Then this is a good copy for you to have. Similarly, you've got Ticket to Ride London and Ticket to Ride New York, which will do a very similar job. I think this is really a preference in aesthetics. But for me, I prefer the longer games. It just gives you more of a time to build a bit of an engine. This game seems to be over quite quickly and sometimes you haven't quite got your head around what you want to achieve in that time. That being said, Ticket to Ride isn't a very strategy heavy game. You can try and memorize all of the route cards and try and block people off, but that's about as complex as it gets. So whilst I won't own this game, it's certainly something I wouldn't object to playing as a filler, but I just feel like we don't need more of these small versions of Ticket to Ride. It was nice to get New York, but I feel like they are just milking the cow now. Anyway, I hope that was useful, that you found this review interesting, and thanks for watching. Bye!